Yeah.
But you kicked off, you started life up in the Midlands, I think, didn't you? And then down to the West Country, down to Cornwall before you came.
Yeah, back
to
in
sort
the
of Dorset.
70s, yeah.
Yeah, and so what, your family moving around the country peripatetically, or was it?
Yeah, well then, in the 70s, my family moved down to Cornwall.
Right.
And I went to school there for a while. The rest of it was just me after that.
Okay,
I moved back up to the Midlands, but that was because there wasn't any work in Cornwall, really.
Right.
So when I was sort of 15, I left school and went selling ice creams on the beach.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that?
I was surfing. I wanted to go surfing because it was beautiful. It was North Cornwall, it was surfing area. So, I got a surfboard and I could sell ice creams on the beach out of this cafe that, I was offered the job. I didn't tell them how old I was.
No.
And I should have been at school. But I got a job selling ice cream. Then in my break I went surfing. So that was great. But yeah, later on, sort of, I think probably in my late 20s or something like that, trying to find work had been a nightmare. So you'd get seasonal work, you get a few months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there'd be nothing through the winter, and that's not great. So eventually I moved back up to the Midlands where there was quite a bit of work.
And what was it you did? What was while you were building your musical career, what did you do as a day job?
My God, all sorts. So from selling ice creams on the beach.
Only share with us the legal stuff.
Yeah. Okay. The boring stuff. I worked for a frozen food company. Okay. So this was in Cornwall. So I did that for quite a long. It's still going. The company's still going. And I delivered all around the southwest.
Right.
So that was when I passed my test. I think it was back. So I worked there from when I was 16, and I left when I was 18 or something like that because they were still. I'm not going to tell you the company name, and they were great. Listen, they were brilliant, and I really enjoyed the job. But I think I started on £15 a week. Eventually, I got up to £40 a week.
My word.
They gave me £54 one week, and I thought, this will do me. This is great. But then they said, we made a mistake with you. We got the 4 and the 5 the wrong way, so it went back down to 45.
Let me just ask, when you were a younger man, did you always have that deep singing voice, or did you cultivate that later on?
I did, yeah. I was probably... I used to sing. I used to go busking. But not like now where you've got all the amps and everything. When you see people out busking, they've got little amps and doing it. Was just the guitar, and you'd have to project your voice.
Wow. Okay.
So a lot of it was
good training.
Was learning to do that, and project my voice and stuff. And then that roughness came in. I mean, I can sing kind of without it, but it does creep in.
I think a bit of a trademark now as well, isn't it? I mean,
I guess it is. I mean, it goes with Ruffdog, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. That's a little bit of a signature stamp to it as well. Yeah. But all of this time and all of these travels, building up the influences that were actually going to affect your music later on as well. And so, when did you start to focus on the music? How old?
Oh, well, I had my first guitar when I was 12. You wouldn't know it.
Wow.
And I realised after several years of trying to play 3 open chords that I wasn't a natural musician. And I think I've said before, when I was at school, they used to give me the triangle and go, sit at the back, Elliot. and then the teacher,
ping it when I give you the sign.
Hey, you can make a triangle out of tune, you're hopeless. So I had no musical talent, but I loved it. I loved the guitar, and I was bought this guitar, an old guitar, when I was 12. I tried to play, learnt 3 folk chords, cowboy chords they call them, don't they? And I've got 4 now, so I've progressed in all those years.
I love it.
4, but I did that, and then I went busking, and Cornwall, North Cornwall at the time, I knew a lot of people who were musicians. And parties and things, people would take guitars along. So I was always there watching people and trying to join in. And they were always so much better than I was.
Okay, look, we'll talk some more in a minute or two. We need to get a bit more music in, so I'm going to call you up for your second song that you're going to play us now. Right. I also want you to be sure to tell us when you're going to play your favourite, because I'm going to ask you what's your favourite of all your songs, and doubtless you will play it today, I'm guessing.
I haven't got one.
You haven't got a favourite song? Okay, well...
Because the favourite one, and I don't know whether you can relate to this writing songs, but the favourite one's the one I haven't written yet. It's the one I'm always searching for, So, I guess I write one and then I think, yeah, that's my favourite at the time, and then the next one comes along, and,
so
we're so fickle.
That's a very good little quote, that is. I might have to use that on my brand. I do a quote at the end of my show on a Wednesday, Friday morning.
Yeah.
And my favourite song is the one I haven't written.
Yeah.
Ruffdog, I might have to immortalise you on the quotes on the fry.
You're welcome to.
Okay, come on, give us this next song then.
I'll send you the invoice.
Thanks very much.
This is Straight and
I'll stick it
Narrow.
with the others.
Right, yeah. This one isn't on Letters in the Rain, but it was released as a single, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was. It's called Straight and Narrow, and a lot. I guess it's got a little message. It's about sort of always looking ahead, and you never know what's round the next corner. So if things are really bleak, or things aren't going your way, keep going, man.
Yeah, good shout.
Because you never know what's around there. It's usually more of the same. But but it might not be.
Not always.
And some of the best things when I look back in life, and I think that's the beauty of getting older. One of the good things about getting older is you can look back and think, do you know what? If I'd have given up then or whatever, when I was really down, I wouldn't have known the good things that came later.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
So it's kind of about that, and there's true things in there, There's like I talk about somebody in London going for a meal with this girl.
Okay.
And she did a runner. That's all true. So some of these things
I have listened to the song, so I do know that lyric. It's great. Didn't you flick your fag ash at her later?
I didn't actually, but I just had this image of going out the window, kind of in a,
I know the song.
I don't condone smoking, kids.
No, of course.
Looking for nostalgia, remembering the days, hammered in the Roxy when the Pistols played. The sun must try to mug me, the doorman knocked him flat. It must have been my lucky day, I got my money back. 'Cause sometimes things go right, and other times they don't. Every choices that you make, you give it some old front. 'Cause sometimes things go right, and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some old front. I met a girl in the Troubadour, she said her name was Fred. She rattled like old Marley's ghost with the chains of the living dead. We had a Ruby Murray and said we split the tab, but then she done a runner and left me there to blag. 'Cause sometimes things go right and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some old front. 'Cause sometimes things go right and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some old front. Found a roll of fibres and half a pack of fags. I think I look the business, driving my old Jag. Cruising down the old Kent Road, looking for a laugh. I seen that girl in chains again and flicked her my fag ash. 'Cause sometimes things go right and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some old front. 'Cause sometimes things go right and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some old front. Full of love and right, my dear, like the old ones down the market. Giving all the chat and that, but you ain't heard the half of it. Now you may be a king or queen or apples in a barrel, but all the roads from here to there ain't never straight and narrow. 'Cause sometimes things go right and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some more front. 'Cause sometimes things go right, and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some more front. 'Cause sometimes things go right, and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some more front. 'Cause sometimes things go right, and other times they don't. Whatever choices that you make, you give it some more front.